Are you interested in media coverage with over 80,000 podcast playbacks per month, along with automated outreach to thousands of customized targets to grow your revenue more efficiently? With over $8 billion in new sales pipeline growth delivered to our partners so far, we can help. Please reach out for more information.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to be joined again by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Vincent, Mr. Podcaster Extraordinaire. We have fun doing these episodes on revenue growth. And today we're going to be talking about how to stop chasing and start closing more business. So it'll be a fun topic with some background stories for both of us and some back and forth. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm fantastic, my friend. Unlike a lot of people out there. Wow. I mean, this couldn't be more timely. I mean, I've spoken to 3 people in the logistics industry today that are they're hurting. They're hurting. There's people just trying to catch on, or hang on.
Right.
Right now.
Yeah, I've been speaking with people as well. The uncertainties are making people stop from doing big things right now.
Yeah.
And some of it's settling out, which I'm very thankful for, but some of it has not settled out yet. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, and the settling out is not a painless process. It's people shutting their doors.
Right.
They're still. It doesn't matter if you say freight's down or whatnot, blah blah blah, whatever. The imports are actually up year over year. There's too much capacity, regardless of how you look at it.
Right.
And it's difficult. It's difficult, and it's difficult to make sales because people are they're getting desperate, and they're using lazy tactics, shall we say?
Right. Absolutely. Yep. The old spray and pray approach. I see and hear a lot about that going on out there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Doing quite a bit of it.
I thought it'd be fun to kind of go back in the Wayback Machine for a minute. So, I've been involved in business development for 29 years. And the buyer process has changed pretty dramatically during that time frame. I think so, even more so for sure in the last 10 years. If you think about even before COVID and after COVID, the buying patterns and how people research and do their homework and so forth has changed pretty dramatically. And you've been in business development going way back when as well. Have you seen some changes over the years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. On the business development side and on the buyer side, right?
Right.
And the interesting thing that you can see is that one reacts to the other, but it's not always the business development or sales side that reacts to the changes of the buyer.
Right.
No, a lot of times it's a buyer changing because of right.
Yeah. Some whiz bang new thing is introduced into the market, and then people say, "Oh, I've got to do this." Like we've talked about a little bit on the show, drone delivery. Like, really, does anybody really need drone delivery?
No, nobody needs it, and there's no way. It's not necessary. I mean, there's certain areas that certainly we can get things to and faster with drone, but it's not generally speaking, no, and it's not more efficient.
Right.
It's not. Stop with the insanity. It's not.
Right. It's more of a marketing ploy than anything, really, I think.
It absolutely is. Yeah. It absolutely is. And stop with the silliness that the consumer said, I need to buy a toothbrush and it needs to be here in an hour.
Right. Exactly.
Somebody figured out how to do it and started the chase and convinced people, and now you can, so they buy it. That's all.
Right. Exactly. Well, this company, started 6 years and 10 months ago. And it came out of a necessity, really. I was selling fuel treatments on the side.
On the black market, or like, on a corner by the logistics companies, like, hey buddy, come here.
Yeah, I set up on the corner in Detroit and balloons and
hey, come here. I got something for you, man.
No, it was an interesting thing. I was working on a fundraiser, and through my church and met a guy that had this amazing fuel treatment. It was averaging about 15% fuel economy improvement.
Yeah.
And we raised some money together and ended up building a farming co-op and bought a tractor in Uganda. But at the exact same time, I was like, wow, I think the potential for this is pretty amazing with fleets. And
Yeah.
and I've worked with hundreds of fleets, you know that.
Yep.
So I thought, why don't I introduce it to some of the people I know? Now let's just see. Lo and behold, it actually took over more income than I was making with my full-time job. So I was able to jump, right? And it was
Yeah.
right about that time you and I podcasted for the first time on Freight Waves together. You brought
Oh
me,
yeah.
you brought me in, and that was a lot of fun. And then you and I really, from that point on, started collaborating and doing some things. And I had you onto our podcast. But there's a story to all of that. You know, I did a little case study on myself. So I was doing these city blitzes. I was
Right.
getting an anchor meeting in Seattle or Dallas or Orlando, an anchor meeting to show the proof and the product and so forth. And then I'd fly out and I'd get two or three other just stop bys. Um,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and I had spent $30,000 in travel for about 11.49 million in sales pipeline. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could do some of this digitally, right? I'm seeing some things out there. I see some people doing this. And lo and behold, I hired a few consultants. I started using some automations. I started working on the go-to-market strategy and messaging. And after a year, I looked back and I had spent $8,500 to generate 489 million. So from 11.5 million to 489 million by changing the focus to social media, podcasting, sales automations, and a better go-to-market strategy,
And
frankly.
you cut your costs 4x.
Yeah, right. Cut the cost 4x and up the pipeline by many, many fold. um,
Yeah.
and I just kind of never turned back. And I'm really, really fortunate because in 2020, I was still working in this area and there were no on-site meetings. There were nobody would allow you to come in and do a conference room meeting during COVID.
Oh
So
yeah. 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 For sure.
So it was all online. And frankly, it was amazing because we grew revenue by 54% with a physical product and some automation during COVID-19, like during the middle of the pandemic. And it would have never happened, of course, if I would have been reliant on going there. It would have shut down. So,
Yeah, and there was a lot of people that tried to pivot, but there were a lot of people that did so unsuccessfully or caught up and pivoted quickly. But there's those who never did.
yep, right, exactly. A lot of people laid off three-quarters of their sales and marketing teams. They just said, hold the phone on everything.
Well, yeah, they figured, well, this will be over in a few months.
Right, exactly. And
Or kept saying, it'll never get that bad. It'll never get that bad as they're watching it get that bad. Right. I
right,
mean, there's always that denial that just takes you right down. So, yeah, a lot of people that weren't prepared for it at all. They couldn't pivot.
couldn't pivot, wouldn't pivot. You know,
Right.
a lot of them were
Right.
just stuck in their ways and wouldn't
Yeah.
pivot. And everything was being done online during COVID. Everything. Zoom took off like a rocket ship. And it was always online meetings. And, you know, I was just talking with friends about what we were doing, really. This is what kind of the origins of us doing outsourced sales, marketing, growth. Just this is how it all started. Some friends were asking me what I was doing. I told them. One of them got laid off during COVID. And he said, hey, I've done SQL and Microsoft Dynamics work forever. I wonder if I could go out and get some consulting work on my own. Right. And I said, well,
Mm.
yeah, based on your value, um, yeah, I think so. And you can do this remotely. He said, yeah, I can do online training. I can do implementations remotely and
Well,
use
sure.
VPN and get into there and do the things I need to do. So we rolled out a system with him. And in 2.5 months, he was fully booked during the middle of COVID-19, fully booked with work in 2.5 months. Another friend, you know, out in Florida said, you know, things have changed and I'm not sure what we're going to do and so forth. And I told him what I was doing, and he said, "Huh, I wonder if that would work for this freight technology." Said, "I think it would. If you get value and proof in front of thousands of the right targets, yes, this will work." And he got 200 inbound deals in 3.5 months with that. And so that's kind of what started this whole thing. Was out of accident. I just started working with some friends on, hey, it's working for us. Maybe it would work for you. And lo and behold, it's worked for many, many, many companies. The same
Yeah,
thing.
developed out of necessity.
Right.
Well, curiosity won, but then, was proven through the necessity, right? I mean, it was you did it to say, wait, can I work smarter
Yep.
and more cost efficiently? And you proved that you could. It just so happened that then COVID hit and it
Right.
really showed what diversity in your plans and operations and sales and marketing means, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was kind of one of those things where I was traveling a lot and you spend a lot of wasted time. I mean,
Yeah,
plane rides and rental cars and hotels, and you're really only getting about 4, maybe 5 hours of value added time on a trip,
right.
right? And you think about
True.
2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days of trips. Man, that's a lot of wasted time. And so I was kind of honestly frustrated a little bit. Like, do I really have to travel every other week all over the place to do this? Or could I possibly get some of this going? And one of the things that we did with the fuel treatment was a pilot program with a measured pilot. And those pilot programs were 5 grand, 10 grand.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I thought, that was the go to market part of it. Like, could I get them on a pilot, prove the result, and then talk about a bulk purchase for their fleet? And that was the strategy we deployed. And lo and behold, it worked very, very well. And it grew like
Mm.
gangbusters during the middle of the pandemic. And people would think you can't sell a physical product like a fuel treatment during online, right? You can't do that. But yeah.
Well,
And the funny thing about that too is these deals, as you know, we've been working together forever now. These deals are 500,000 a year to 10 million a year kind of fuel
oh
treatment.
yeah, no, they're big deals. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not small deals. And I mean, those are the 500,000 to 1 million, and those were really the pilots, right? I mean, the potential was much, much larger in many of them.
Yeah. We'd do a pilot, we'd prove it, and then we'd get bulk purchases lined up for the next year,
That's exactly right. Yep.
and all it was every bit of it was online. We just show them exactly how to do it remotely, like measure your miles per gallon with a baseline with no fuel treatment, measure your new with the fuel treatment. We'll compare the two. We'll do some net financial savings together, and then you decide. And it was a winner. So that
It
was
was, but we're not selling that stuff right now, are we?
no.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I was on the wrong call for a second.
No, no, we're not doing that. It's kind of interesting because
Yeah.
um, we pivoted. We pivoted to working with a lot of companies on various technologies instead of
Yeah.
one thing. Which I've been through some things in my career where kind of got pigeonholed into going after one certain market, and then that market got
Exactly.
affected, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scrambling to find a new market. So, really, as a company, we pivoted to why don't we work with a lot of technology and consulting companies on helping them grow? And that's basically what we've been doing. So,
Right.
yeah.
And the pivot on what we were able to sell and market, it works over all industries. There are very few industries where it has to be done. The sale has to take place face to face. I can think of a lot of nefarious ones, but and arguably some of those aren't even there anymore because of legalization of this and that, et cetera. But I digress.
Right.
The ability to employ more or various strategies in your marketing and your sales is what helps you to survive when times are changing or not changing, right? It doesn't matter,
Mhm.
right? I mean, your flexibility is incredibly important in all aspects. There are those who are always going to want to have the face-to-face type of stuff, right? So we're not saying get rid of that. But when things change, you need to be able to go to the digital platforms and make things happen. And there are those more and more that utilize the digital platform to ingest possible deals, right?
Right.
Your buyers, et cetera, and go look for them. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And, there's some statistics. Salesforce.com said that 69% of sales executives believe the buyer process is changing faster than they're reacting to it. That's 63% of sales executives. And then the other big one was a study by Bode Tree, where on average it took 7 follow-ups to get to a sales closed meeting. But they found that through their study, most companies were giving up after 2 touches.
Which, is true. And I heard that you told me that statistic a while back.
Yep.
And just paying attention to it in my own dealings, it's 100% true.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, if the majority or it takes 7, my success rate hits somewhere. It's either the first one or it's like 5th.
Yeah.
Right. It's either bang, I've got the right person and at the right time and et cetera, or it's like the 5th because of weeding through all the other stuff. It's kind of what I see.
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, if you think about it, even yourself, when you get emails and stuff, eventually you do go, I wonder what that's about.
Right. Right. Yeah. And the thing about the approach is so important, because what we're doing out there is providing things of value and verified results rather than will you meet with me? Will you?
Well, yeah. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Because once you get that, I wonder what this is about, you better have some substance behind it. And it better not say a follow-up to our previous conversation that never happened.
Right.
There's a turnoff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Somebody hit me with one of those emails not too long ago where following up on our correspondence. And I was asking you, is correspondence when somebody reaches out to you, is that correspondence? Because it was following up to our correspondence. I was like, I've never talked to this person. I even went through and looked and I was like, I have no history with this person whatsoever. But so that was such a turnoff. I was like, I wouldn't work with them because you don't use tactics like that.
That's lazy. That's completely lazy, especially when they're reaching out to you and going, hey, I see that you're an expert in blockchain and I'd like to be your fractional sales or marketing firm. And you're like, okay. I was a membership committee chairman for blockchain in transportation 12 years ago.
Right.
But you want to market my company now? that does plastics recycling. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I told you another one I got recently was I see that you operate a fleet of trucks.
Oh, yeah.
It could really help you with your finance and factoring and insurance. And I was sitting there. I don't operate a fleet of trucks. I use LTL. I've used LTL quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't operate a fleet of trucks. And I've worked with a whole lot of trucking fleets in my career. Yes. So what they're doing, I'm sure, is scanning the internet for keywords and going, Andy, trucking fleet, because he said trucking fleet. And so they're reaching out to me about my trucking fleet that I don't have, actually. So
yes, or they're using some sort of, as they call it, AI-driven algorithms or whatever to find, firms, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to interact with AI. They don't know how to interact with the technology. And you and I know this through pulling out the contacts and building up, our trucking tower leads and all that other kind of stuff. There's a myriad of ways to mine data within a single warehouse, right? For instance, if you go into Apollo, right, you be looking for X person, title, experience, whatever, in X department in X industry, right? And you can do that, and I can do that, and somebody else can do that. But depending on our abilities, we come up with wildly different results, right?
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean, because if you just take the lazy way and go for it, you're going to get people in there that at some point in their career might have been in that industry because it's somewhere back in there, right?
Yep.
And you may miss 30% of the leads that could be spot on because you haven't manipulated your inquiry exactly how that particular database reacts to you. And it's the biggest thing I see with like AI and stuff like that is people don't understand just how freaking literal it is, right?
Right.
You have to ask or give the direction in the exact way it understands. Otherwise, you're just getting garbage. And people are like, well, it lies or it does this. Now, you just don't know how to ask a question. You don't know how to use it. You have no idea.
Yep. I did that. We did another show recently about the targeting. The targeting is so important.
But that's what I'm saying. You need the expertise that you have developed over the years, or that I have developed over the years. You can go try and do this stuff yourself. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get all kinds of results that suck.
Yep. So Mark Wayshak, social scientist at Harvard, did a study, survey of 400 sales executives.
Okay.
And 71% of them said that 50% or fewer of the leads they're working are actual fits for their solutions. So that means half of the time they're out there spent hunting is wasted, completely wasted. They're not a target. They're not the right fit.
And these are people that are probably putting a fair amount of thought and energy into creating those lists.
Right.
Of leads.
Yep.
Or they spend a fair amount of money buying it from somebody else, who you assume would be much more accurate. They just don't know what they're doing.
And I love these projects we do where we do market research on the front end.
Yeah.
What is the market for this product? And they don't know because they don't know the tools and methods to get to the right targets. And a lot of times they're blown away. Like, wow, there's way more targets than I thought there were, because I had run this list and put in these titles and this SIC code and so forth. And I got this list and 7 out of 10 of them were not a fit. So I thought, well, 30% of the market is a fit. So that's this number. But when you run it the right way, the market, had one just recently. It was about 4 times as big as they thought the market might be. So, yeah.
Which is, you don't want to underestimate either.
No.
And wouldn't you say, Andy, that part of it is, through our research and methodology that we do, we understand that you need to know what you're actually selling. And what I mean by that is, and I'll just use an analogy that's fairly polarizing, I guess, in some instances. But if you ever watch Shark Tank, which I love to watch Shark Tank because you can learn a bit about how different people work. I don't necessarily love the personalities on there or anything like that. I think, their divergence from their actual mission, and some of them are, whatever. It doesn't matter. I like to see what other entrepreneurs are doing. But one of the things that is Mark Cuban, for example, used to always point out, and it's one of the only times I listened to him and thought he had something smart to say, was when he would say, Andy, you don't know what business you're in. Right? And it is a very, very, very intelligent observation, and something that anybody with any type of product and or service needs to understand is, what is the reality of what they're trying to do? What is the reality of their business? And that changes the target. Even within the exact, you may be selling to the right industry, but you think you're selling to the ops guy, but you're not. You should be selling to the CFO.
Right.
For instance.
Right. What problems are you solving, and who cares about that? Right.
100%. And who might perceive your solution as a problem?
Yeah.
You could be really getting negative impact by hitting the wrong person.
Absolutely. What I was about to say, adversely getting affected by going after the wrong person who sees it as a threat and shuts you down.
100%. That has happened to you and I. It's happened to us, where we've in the past, where we have refined then our approach and become more successful. We're like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
right? This was a done deal. Then all of a sudden it's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, and 3 steps before, had we done something differently, the ink would be already dry in the contract.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Yep. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. We've done it. I've done it. I've done it over the years. I've gone
My
into
grandfather, yeah,
it.
I was going to say, my grandfather used to say, you don't have to make every mistake yourself, but I've ignored that piece of advice.
It's funny though in life. I'm going to get philosophical for a second here.
All right.
I feel like I've learned more from things that went wrong than when things just kind of went swimmingly well, right? I've learned a lot through that
Sure,
process.
sure, 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 sure.
Don't do this, do that, and then I think about that. I go, no, don't do that again. Let's do this. Oh man. But yeah, we've refined our approach over the years. And it's always being refined, frankly. And I feel like if you're not looking for new methods to be more efficient in your sales and marketing, if you're not continually doing that, then you'll probably end up wasting a lot of time and money.
You really, you really are. You really are. And um, I mean, we could get philosophical or whatever again if you'd like to, but really, just it's important for the industry that our intelligence on how to use the knowledge of AI and automation grows. And not to say that this, what you and I are trying to do is all that much mission based. What we do with the profits, et cetera, is very much mission based, and what our lives are, living with intention, and what we do outside of the business is certainly is. But one of the things I feel that we're pushing towards and helping develop is the intelligence to utilize automation in a much more positive way in the business. In other words, people are using the hell out of it to spray and pray more and more and more and more, which is causing a wider and wider and deeper moat between the people who can turn an idea and a path into something successful that will advance the industry, and therefore I believe is a threat to the growth and advancement of the industry. Not that it'll destroy, but it certainly will slow it down.
Yeah,
So,
right. Absolutely.
did I actually say anything, or did I just talk in circles? Was that a
No, you did, because if you've got 1,000 companies out there doing spray and pray, and you and I are trying to reach to the same people with something of value, the moat is way wider and deeper. And they're just like,
100%? And all you people out there spraying and praying, you have something to offer to the right person.
Right.
But you're hurting yourself by spraying and praying because you're part of the people that are causing the moats to get deeper and wider.
Yep. And they're causing their own problem. I'm never going to reach that person because of the way it's being done, how their message
100%.
and what they're saying and how they're saying it's just it's wrong. It's off. And so we've got a methodology that we deploy, of course. We developed actually through that whole process way back when in 2018 through 19, and just kept building on it and refining it and building on it. And we've worked with many, many companies in technology and consulting, and we love doing this work, and it's a lot of fun. And podcasting and social media is a big part of it. Michael and I, it's really started my journey really with Michael. You were my very first podcast. You were my first podcast ever.
I feel honored.
And
was it me and Dooner?
It was you and Dooner.
It was me and Dooner, right? Was that was the very first one where we did the Shorter meets Van Halen song?
No, that was number 2.
I was gonna say, okay, that was number 2. All right.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. The first one was actually a fundraising deal.
It was.
And you guys were kind enough to bring me in. We were doing a food relief effort for Sierra Leone.
That's right.
And we ended up with you and me and Dooner. We ended up feeding over 3,000 families a week of food. Sierra Leone's a port city, and their port was
yeah. I remember because Dooner thought she was a Latin singer, and he was wondering why she was so hungry. I'm just kidding.
But
I've never heard Sierra. No, just joking.
Oh man, that was our very first. Well, that was my first podcast. And then from there, we just kind of kept in touch, and I had Dooner, and I created a podcast. Had you on, had Dooner on, had Kevin Hill on, And just kind of you and I from that point really forward started collaborating and working together on things. And that was, golly, that
Yeah,
was,
really by our side hustles and missions across the seas, which developed that relationship, really. Our focus on trying to make things better
yep,
rather than just extracting wealth.
yep. Well put. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it is. It is what's funneled a lot of things. And we've done a lot of really awesome things out there outside of the business, generating revenue and so forth. And
Yeah.
it's been a really awesome adventure. It really has. I really thankful for you and our team. And it's been a lot. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a big adventure. And we're probably in chapter 5 of like a 20 chapter book or something at this point. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So,
I feel like I'm in volume 20 of the Encyclopedia Britannica.
right. Oh man.
Remember when that was like my first software that I ever had was like the encyclopedia on a disc.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of I was in honors English in high school. Okay. And I had never been in honors English before. And I
Were
wrote a
you
book.
just a, were you just a guest?
Yeah. I was just a guest, right?
bring your stupid friend to class day.
They're like, we got 2 open slots. This guy looks like he might fit. Let's let him sit in for a little while and we'll see.
uh, that's funny, dude.
Bill had a book report to do. And this is hilarious because always before I used encyclopedias for my research. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. I did this long book report my senior year. And all I did was use encyclopedias for reference material. And I got a C on my paper. And she said, you can't just use the encyclopedia. Like, where were you born? Like, treated me like I was an alien or something. I was like, what are you talking about? You've got to use books and resources. And I'm like, well, she said there in the instructions, it was like, use 3 different kinds of outsourced material.
Ah.
Well, to me, that's 3 different encyclopedias, right? But it was
Well,
not in her book.
yeah. She could have been a little more clear.
Yes, she could have been more clear about it, but I learned. I learned the hard way. So,
Yeah. Do they still
uh,
teach the Dewey Decimal System?
as far as I know, they do.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Last time I went to the library, it was still Dewey Decimal. So, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Oh
Gotcha.
my goodness. Well, anyways, bottom line, there's better ways to go to market, better ways to close more business more efficiently. There really is. And we've lived it and done it, and it's been a major change. And it's really following the
100%.
way that buyers buy today. It really does. So that's what we're out there doing. Of course, you can reach out to us for more information. And that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for listening or watching, everybody. And we will see you again on the next one. Take care.
Take care. Peace and love.